EJ, you want to dive into this national championship game?
When you look at this matchup, what is this going to come down to? This is going to come down to uh, uh, our man, Marcus Freeman, calling up Sharon Moore at Michigan and saying, hey, Coach Moore, let me ask you something, buddy. What do you do to beat this team? And Sharon Moore is going to say, well, one thing you got to do is you got to have athletes on defense to shake them, get them shook. And if you don't have athletes on defense, and you're playing Ohio State, just wave the white flag. So Notre Dame, check. You got athletes on defense. Number two, you cannot allow them to run the football for more than 4 yards a carry. Now, Ohio State, I was going to say Ohio State is undefeated when they rush the ball for more than 4 yards a carry, but they ran it for 4.3 against Oregon earlier in the year and lost. But they should have won that game. They lost because they had 2 turnovers. They fumbled it twice. But you go back and you look at this game. It's going to come down to, can Notre Dame stop the Ohio State run? If you can stop the run, which is very tough to do because you basically have to do it with your front four. Because the way Ohio State plays, they're going to spread you out. And then you can, maybe your front five, maybe you can devote a middle linebacker. You got to stop their run. If you can stop their run and you put pressure on what's-a-majigger, Will Howard, to make pressure throws against max coverage. That's how you do it. Go back and watch the Michigan game, people. If he has to throw the ball into coverage where you have to like read and there's two guys, one guy's dropping, two guys are on you, and I have to make the right decision, Ohio State's offense is not effective. When they run the ball on you, and then you have to bring 6, 7 guys into the box, and you've got one-on-one coverage, there's no way you're beating Ohio State because Will Howard, all he has to do is just throw it up there. All he has to do, Jeremiah, where are you? Oh, I don't even know where you are. I'm just going to throw blindfold and throw it up, and you're going to catch it. Touchdown, game over. Texas, you had the ingredients. You had the ingredients. You stopped the run with your front four, and you devoted secondary to make Will Howard have to think when he throws it. Notre Dame's got the ability to do that. But what does Notre Dame also have that Texas didn't have? A stone cold commitment to the run. Why? Well, Riley Leonard's not Tom Brady out there. He's more like Tim Tebow. Run that ball, baby. Now, I would be much more confident if this was Penn State's running attack. But the thing that worries me about Notre Dame is Ohio State's defense can win them this game. They can shut down the run. And so what Notre Dame is going to have to do in this game, they are going to have to throw to run. Now, what does that mean? You can't start this game shotgun 3 wide, hand off the Love, and think he's going to do anything. They're going to drag him down like a lion who hasn't eaten in 2 weeks. Okay? You're going to have to play action and dump off and see if that tight end can get you 3 or 4 yards. And you're going to have to put Love as a tight end. Play action, dump it to him. See if you can keep Ohio State thinking that you're attacking the outsides so that maybe we got to go out here. And then, pow, middle. Hit them in the middle. Keep the ball out of their hands. You got to keep your defense fresh. Your margin for error is 0. Also, Notre Dame, number 1 turnover differential in the nation. You get lucky turnovers. The ball bounces off the rainbow into the pot of gold. You got to get turnovers. If you can do that and keep this game close, you got a chance. That's the game plan. Now, I'm telling you what I would do if I was Notre Dame. I told you what I would do if I was Georgia, and look what they did. They did the complete opposite. And what happened? They got skull dragged. So this game could go either way. It could go Notre Dame is smart, and I think Marcus Freeman is smart, and he's going to come up with some game plan. You got to fake a punt, too. Like, let's say they stop you in your first drive. You get to the 40-yard line. Oh, yeah, let's punt it. We're punting. Fake it. I'm telling you, you got to fake a punt, or Riley Leonard, practice your punting. What I would do is I would line him up at quarterback and say, hey, we're going to go for this. And instead of going for it, he does a pooch kick. That would be a great play. I'd love to see that. Kyle Trask did it. So that's what I would do. It's going to be an interesting game. I hold my pick for now. But that's the game plan. If Notre Dame can stick with stopping the run and throw to open up your run, you got a chance. If you don't do that, you try to run it straight ahead, and then you're 3rd and 12. Game over.
There you go. Yeah, I totally agree. This is going to be a defensive game. I think 100%. It's going to be very similar to this Texas and Ohio State kind of game, right? Where it should be 14-14, maybe 21-14, fourth quarter. The teams are fighting down the field. Every play is going to count. Every yard is going to count. And something you brought up, EJ, is every turnover is going to count. Now, I think the story of this game is going to be this Ohio State offense versus this Notre Dame defense. Here's the thing about Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman's a defensive mastermind up there with Kirby Smart. A guy who I think came from Cincinnati, came to Notre Dame with Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly leaves, he gets upgraded to a head coaching position. This guy has had a great, aggressive defense. And what I love about his defenses, EJ, is that they play man coverage, bro. They're like athlete to athlete, they don't care. Problem with that is you can't do that against Ohio State. You can't play man-to-man the whole game against Ohio State. You can't do it. You can't even play 50-50 against Ohio State. Because guess what? Even if you get pressure because this Ohio State offensive line does have some injuries and does have some holes in it, and if you can get pressure on Will Howard in a man coverage, it's not going to matter because Will Howard's going to know where he's going with the ball pre-snap. He's a smart guy. He's high. He's played a lot of football. He knows man coverage because you don't have to read the field, really. You can just pick your, see what side the safety's going to. Be like, okay, this is the matchup I want over here. Let's go to that. And whenever you play man coverage against Jeremiah Smith, it's never pretty. It is never pretty. Even if you bracket the guy, he's slippery. He is a generational talent. And something that he has, Ryan Williams, another great freshman receiver, right? We have a lot of great future wide receivers in this sport. But this guy has size. Jeremiah Smith's like 6'3", bro. He's huge. He's huge, and he has this like slippery, light on his feet, just like an NFL. Dude, the NFL's already looking at this guy foaming at the mouth, right? They cannot wait to snatch him up. And so you can't play man-to-man the whole game, and so you're going to have to play zone. So what I'm very interested to see is Notre Dame is not going to play the majority of the time too much zone. They're gonna implement their man coverage because that's the majority of what their defense is built on. So what I'm very interested to see is, will Ohio State and Chip Kelly take advantage of those man-to-man coverage moments like they did against Texas? If they can take advantage of those moments, hit some deep shots, really mess up this Notre Dame defense and then run the ball with TreVeyon Henderson, it's going to be a long, long day for this Irish defense because they're going to be guessing, all right, wait, we can't play man here. Do we play zone here? What do we do? They're running the ball. They're passing on us. Where's number 4 at? They're not going to know what's going on. What you want to do early on is play zone. If you want to play man-to-man, 65% of the time, 60% of the time, you can do that. Just put that later in the game, right? You have to disrupt Will Howard's confidence early in this game. You have to. And the way to do that's play zone coverage. And as we saw in that Texas game, he was not consistent against zone coverage. He got so lucky with so many passes. And this is an even bigger stage. Just a national championship in Atlanta, Georgia, baby. It's going to be rowdy.
ATL.
And ATL, baby. My second city. And so Will Howard, one thing I've realized, does not do well against when he's under pressure. It's very interesting. You could just tell he feels it. And this season you've seen that. You saw it at Kansas State a little bit too, but really at Ohio State. And maybe it's because the pressure on Ohio State being like, you need to win a national championship this year. You need to do it. And now that he's this close to it, now that Ryan Day is this close to it, now that Chip Kelly and Jim Knowles are this close to winning a national championship, is that going to eat him alive? Are they going to persevere? It's going to be interesting. And I'm telling you, this Ohio State offense versus Notre Dame defense is going to be the story of the game. Now, let's talk about Notre Dame's offense versus Ohio State defense, man. This is one of the best defenses that Notre Dame's faced all year. They did play well against a very good Penn State defense, but this Ohio State defense is dirty, man. They're nasty. And you got Jim Knowles calling plays, a guy that could be a head coach right now somewhere. He knows leadership. He's a great, great coach, been everywhere, knows defenses. And you have Riley Leonard, a guy that almost threw the game away against Penn State. Remember that really late interception? Horrible throw. What are you doing? You have a dropping guy, try to get over him, did not work out.
Never saw him. Didn't see him. Yeah, exactly. And he even talks about it. He's like, dude, I didn't win this game. My defense did. My team did, because I pretty much almost threw this game away. And he's on a bigger stage now, against a better defense, in my opinion, a better secondary, in my opinion. And can you be consistent throwing the football is my question to Riley Leonard. And because like you talked about, EJ, go back to this Notre Dame and Penn State game. The only times that Notre Dame was able to drive the ball down the field is when they hit these deep shots. So number one, can they give Riley Leonard enough time in the pocket to take these deep shots? And number two, can you get open on this Ohio State secondary? Because this Ohio State secondary is one of the best in the country. I mean, Caleb Downs is out there blowing guys up, always knows his assignment. The way that they play him is very, very unique. He's like a strong safety, but they place him in the nickel position sometimes. He sometimes plays like a linebacker type of position. It's a very weird defense to see, which is why I love watching them play. And Jim Knowles is just, his play calling, man, his design, it's something like we haven't seen in a while in college football. And I love that the way that they use Caleb Downs. So if you're Riley Leonard, before each play, you better know where number two is. You better be pointing out, okay, there he is, right there. Let me throw the ball over here, not toward him. Because he's like a Reggie Nelson out there. This dude's flying everywhere. You don't know where he's even coming from. It's like he just spawns there and, just swats the ball, has a pass breakup, destroys guys. That'd be just hard hitting. So it's not only Ohio State offense versus Notre Dame defense, but also Riley Leonard against this Ohio State defense. And I think the big key that I wrote down, because I wrote a key for each offense and each defense in this game. My key for Notre Dame's offense is no turnovers. If you're Riley Leonard, I would rather you only throw for 80 yards in this game and not throw a turnover, because at least you're giving your defense a chance, against Will Howard and being a very close game. And so it's going to be interesting, and it sucks for Notre Dame because the injuries, and of course, you have Love back there at the running back position who's battling injuries. So can he be healthy is the big question. We know he's not going to be 100%. So that really sucks if you're Notre Dame, because you want to rely on that. And the backups aren't really that great. So, that's going to be a big thing to look at. So the odds are stacked up against Notre Dame, and the spread shows that. I don't know if you've seen the spread yet, EJ, but you know what I like to use? I like to use FanDuel. FanDuel has Ohio State favored by 8.5. Which is unbelievable. That's for a national championship game compared to these other games. Think about semifinals as 1.5 and 5.5. Now we have an 8.5. So
Las Vegas loves Ohio State. They love Ryan Day, and it's gonna be it's gonna be it's in my opinion it's gonna be one of the games of the year, and it might not be a Miami versus Iowa State, in the Cheez It Bowl where it's 28-28 halftime, right? But it is going to be a defensive battle. It's going to be taking advantage of opportunities, and I think that's what football is all about, baby. There's going to be one hell of a football game. Yeah, EJ, I don't have anything else to say, man. This is just I'm just so interested to see the game plan coming into this game. Obviously the weather won't have any effect. It's that we were in a dome, so that doesn't have any effect. We'll be 50-50. It's just going to be the question here is, do you have a Notre Dame team? Like the storylines is what I love about this game. Number one, the helmets. Ohio State, Notre Dame, two of the most iconic helmets in college football, the most history in college football. So you have Notre Dame, a team that lost against Northern Illinois week 2 of the college football season. Everyone doubted them. Everyone's like, this team is terrible. Riley Leonard's not a good quarterback. They fight back and just destroy every team in sight. And then you have Ohio State, a team that people were calling for Ryan Day's job just like a month and a half ago. And now he's led this team to a national championship. Can he get it done? Preseason people saying if Ryan Day doesn't win the national championship this year, he's fired. Here we are. He's in the national championship. Can he win is a big question. So both teams have such an interesting storyline. It's going to make for an amazing game. EJ, what else do you have to say before we make our picks?
Man, another, storyline to this game. Marcus Freeman. Does anyone know where he played college football? Ohio State Buckeyes. How does that feel, man? Like, let's say like I'm coaching, I'm making millions, and I gotta coach against the Gators. Your alma mater for the national championship. Ryan Day. Urban Meyer disciple. 2005, 20 years ago. This was a 25-year-old graduate assistant on the Florida Gators.
Oh, I didn't know
football team. Yeah.
Whoa.
That's how Urban Meyer and him first met. He was on our staff in 2005.
Wow.
Urban Meyer's first year. 25 years old at that time. 20 years later, the guy is 70-10. 70-10. And what would this season, what do you have to take away from this season if you're Ohio State and you don't win this game? That's the question. You didn't beat Michigan. You didn't win the Big Ten championship. You won a few playoff games. They give you the trophy. I can't stand it when they give you the trophies after the end of these bowl games anymore. Well, now we're going to do the trophy ceremony for the Orange Bowl. Well, now we're going to do the trophy ceremony for the Cotton Bowl. Well, now we're going to do the trophy. I'm like, guys, that's like the NFL playoffs. They give you a trophy after every playoff win. No, you win and move on. But I guess the sponsors, they gotta get their, the Orange Bowl would like to thank both teams.
Yep.
So I guess you got to get it out there. But that's the ultimate storyline. Marcus Freeman coaching against his alma mater, people. Ryan Day coaching maybe for his job. Who knows? You don't win this game, they're going to run you out of Columbus, which wouldn't make any sense to me because who the hell would want that job? Maybe they'll bring Urban Meyer back. So the last keys that I'll just say for Notre Dame, Ohio State, I think it's pretty easy. Get off to a fast start, pummel them early, and do what you do. Blitz your tails off and leave one-on-one coverage. Listen, if I'm Ohio State, this is really easy. 8-man front, man to man. I don't even care if it's man to man on those wide receivers. If Riley Leonard can throw the ball on me, hey, we deserve to lose. But one damn thing they're not going to do is run it on us. We're going to stuff them. It's going to be Thanksgiving 2.0. Hey, Caleb Downs, get out there and cause havoc. That's why they named that position, havoc. Just get out there and just F shit up. Mm-hmm. That's what you do. Number 33, your hair's on fire. What do? Forrest Gump them. Now, offense. I think you got to start rolling. You roll Will Howard out and throw on the run. And then what's going to happen? Notre Dame is going to say, well, now we got to stop that. I guess our game plan's through the root. And then what do? You hit them with a run. And then what do? Deep bomb. Game over. Now, Notre Dame, your game plan. Show love. I don't even care if he gets stuffed on the first carry. You got to go to Love, and if you can get Love to 80 rushing yards in this game, that's the key. And don't abandon it. Give it to Love. Leonard, 17. That's my jersey number. That's the max number of passes you're gonna do in this game. If I look at this stat sheet and I see Riley Leonard threw the ball more than 17 times, game over. You probably lost by 20. Notre Dame defense. Jeremiah Smith, less than 50 yards receiving. I don't care how many times he catches it. Less than 50 yards. You can do it. You could do it. You held Penn State. Nobody even caught the ball once. You mean to tell me you can't hold this guy to 50 yards? And now I know he's like King Kong out there when they throw him the ball, but you got to sandwich him. You got to stop him. 50 yards minimum. Hold the Ohio State rushing attack to 100 yards. Hold him to 100 yards, less than 4 yards a carry. That's the key. Now, with all that said and done, it just seems like it's I know what I got to do, but it's like, man, that's a lot for me to do. I don't think I can do it. Ohio State is going to win this game. Now, I'm going to be rooting for Notre Dame because let me tell you something. I like the green and gold. Maybe if they wore the green jerseys, I'll change my pick at the end. But they're not going to wear the green jerseys. When you don't wear the green jerseys, I don't pick you. You wore the green jerseys when you came to Tallahassee that year. I went to that game. I forgot. Tyrone Willingham was the coach. And you came down, you wore the green jerseys. You won in Tallahassee. You weren't favored. You're not going to do it. I don't believe you're going to do it. Under Armour. I don't know how you got Under Armour. You should have Nike. Anyway, that's my pick. Ohio State. Let me give you the score. I think this game's going to be close. Now, a lot of people are going to say, Ohio State's going to blow them out. It's Notre Dame. And I'm like, where have you been the last 5 years? So, Ohio State, you don't need that much to score. Can you believe that you beat Tennessee, Oregon, and Texas all in a row? It's murderous row out there. Just to get to this moment. You spent $25 million. They're going to do a salary cap soon. You spent $25 million. I got to give it to Ohio State. I think the Buckeyes are going to get this thing done. I'm going to go Ohio State 29-22. It's going to be a funky game. Field goal, safeties, ball bouncing off a goalpost into a leprechaun's basket of gold. Lucky Charms. But Ohio State, you spent the money. I like spending money. You spent the money. You're going to get it done.
So Notre Dame covers. They cover the 8.5.
Notre Dame covers because it's a touchdown win for Ohio State. There you go.
There you go. Good pick. Good pick. I think this will be a really close game as well. I also have Notre Dame covering. I have the final score being 24-16, Ohio State.
Ooh.
So here's my thing though. It's just like on paper, it's Ohio State's going to destroy Notre Dame, right? If you just look at stats and the matchups, and it's like I honestly cannot picture Riley Leonard driving down the field multiple times on this Ohio State defense at this level. But like you were stating, EJ, I could see Ohio State making a few mistakes. I could see them having a turnover or two, putting Notre Dame in a great position. And that's why I have Notre Dame at 16, maybe a couple field goals in there, right? 3 field goals, whatever it is, to get them to that 16 mark, and they get some points out of turnovers just because, they want to get some points off of it and hope the momentum shifts their way. But I just can't see Notre Dame because they play in that man coverage. I can't see them stopping. Is it Ibuka? And you have Jeremiah Smith.
Oh.
Can you stop those two guys? They're both NFL receivers. Can you stop those two guys down the field consistently? I don't think so. But I do think that Marcus Freeman is going to have his guys ready. I know Marcus Freeman will have his guys ready. That's one of my favorite coaches in the league. I love his style, his aggressiveness, his physicality, his mindset of leading these young guys to a national championship. This culture change they've had since Brian Kelly has been out, nobody's mentioning that. It's drastic. No more fake country accents. They're serious. They're here to win a national championship.
Yes, they're physical too. They can actually take a hit.
Exactly. And I think you're going to see that in this game. You're not, because think about Brian Kelly. Remember all the times he'd go to the playoff, he'd get destroyed, blown out. Remember the national championship? Yeah.
My family's here.
They would just get destroyed. And that you're going to see in this game that this is not the same Notre Dame program with Marcus Freeman at the helm. I think they take the loss because of injuries, right, as well. Jeremiah Love will not. I don't think he'll reach that 80 yards in total mark just because he's hurt, man. I really do. I think it's a really good number. I will say that. But I do think he's not 100%, man. And I think you're going to see that in this game. You're going to see Notre Dame kind of fall apart late. Maybe they have a final drive to go for 2 to try to, tie the game late, but you see that Riley Leonard can't rely on the passing, and he needs to have that run game, and you're going to see that. I will say this, Notre Dame could win this game, 100%. Notre Dame can surprise. I want Notre Dame to win. I hate Ohio State. I wanted Ohio State to make the national championship just for Ryan Day's sake of hey, you know what I mean? I feel bad for the guy. They're saying they're going to fire him just because he can't win a national championship every year. But now that he's here, he's fine. He'll keep his job. I want Notre Dame to go. I want them to defy all odds. I hate both these teams. I hate the Final Four. I don't like any of those teams. Penn State, Ohio State, Texas. I hate them all. But I am cheering for Notre Dame here. I think Notre Dame will cover, but I think Ohio State will get the win. Like I said, 24-16.